in an ordinary wooden cabin, hidden away from attention and chaos, surrounded by endless forests and even more endless snows, lived the boy who, with brilliance, silence and a mere rifle, would become the nightmare of an empire. Today, we know of his feats through documentaries, passionate rumors and songs, but behind the song-white death, there was a real man, one who never wanted to be famous, yet he earned the title of the deadliest sniper in history. So let me tell you his story as he would have wanted, without exaggerations or nonsense. This is the story of a farmer, Simo Häyhä. Simo was born the 17th of December of 1905 in Raujärvi, Finland, the seventh of 8 children in a farming family. The land was as harsh as life itself, winters that froze the bones, short summers for work in the fields, and a dense forest to both play and learn in. At 12 years old, while other children were still learning to read, Simo was already hunting squirrels and birds. These began what many would call a lifelong romance with marksmanship. He practiced with improvised targets, cans, branches, logs. It wasn't just play. Hunting put food on the family table. At the same age, you were probably playing Call of Duty. In 1925, a small man, barely 1.60 meters tall and 20 years old, joined the Finnish civil guard, the Suojeluskunta. His surreal accuracy stood out immediately. He won local competitions and earned a reputation in his community. Still, he was a reserved man who preferred to remain unnoticed and undisturbed. For a decade and a half, he dedicated himself to hunting, shooting, and honing his skills, developing unusual tactics that eventually he will be forced to put to the ultimate test. In 1939, just 2 months after Hitler's Germany and the USSR began the Second World War by invading Poland under the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact, the Soviet Union launched a sudden and unjustified invasion of Finland on the 30th of November. The minister Vyacheslav Molotov, I don't know if I pronounced that right, but I don't care because I don't like the guy at all, under Stalin's orders demanded strategic territory, but the Finns refused to submit. Niet Molotov. Niet Molotov. Thus began the war known as Talvisota, the Winter War. Confident in their overwhelming superiority, the Soviets sent more than 400,000 soldiers to crush a nation of barely 3.7 million people. Amid this dire situation, Häyhä was called up as a surgeon to the front lines at the Kola River, one of the fiercest battlegrounds of the war. Kola became a symbol of Finnish resistance. There, among hills, forests, and temperatures as low as -40 degrees Celsius, the outnumbered and under-equipped Finns held back wave after wave of Soviet troops. Minister Molotov defended the bombings of Finnish cities by claiming they were actually dropping packages of bread, feeding the starving population. Obviously a lie. The Finns, in response, returned this supposed act of kindness with another one. They threw cocktails at Molotov's troops, bottles filled with gasoline and a burning rag stuffed into the neck. And yes, that's where the Molotov cocktail gets its name. These wreaked havoc among the Soviets, painting a landscape by contrasting the snow with flames. It was in this frozen hell that the farmer from Raujärvi became a legend. Simo used an M28-30 rifle, a variation of the Mosin Nagant. His tactics included shooting without a scope. While other snipers relied on optics, he preferred the iron sights. The reason was simple: the cold fogged the scopes, and the sun's glare could reveal his position. He dressed entirely in white, completely camouflaged in the snow of Finland. He also packed snow in front of his barrel so muzzle flash would blend with the surroundings, and even filled his mouth with snow to hide the vapor of his breath. Every detail, however extreme, mattered, because for the farmer, any mistake could mean death. The results were devastating. To those who came within Simo's range, it was little different from being targets at a child's shooting gallery. Nearly every shot meant a Soviet casualty, and there were many. 20 a day? 40, 60, 80? No, my friend, we're talking about hundreds of shots per day. Let's say the Soviets made things even easier for him. Why, you might ask? Because the mighty Red Army had no winter camouflage. They wore olive brown uniforms, which would be really good for the forests and the mud, but in the Finnish winter, it was like trying to hide brown stains on an all-white canvas. It was ridiculous. In their defense, some say that winter uniforms had been ordered and were on the way, but the Soviet army had existed for over 16 years since the end of the Russian Civil War. They'd had 16 winters to figure out the obvious need for white camouflage in a land where half of the territory got frozen every year. But I digress. On a very cold night, two soldiers talk while Simo cleans his rifle.
Brother Häyhä, how is it possible for you to stay out there still in the snow for hours? I can't even feel my legs after 10 minutes.
When you hunt, you learn that without the pressure and the pain of patience, you won't put food on your plate. Here, it's not very different.
Yes, but you're not hunting rabbits here. You're hunting reds.
All animals move the same when they believe no one is watching them. Now go to sleep. Tomorrow, we'll have some dinner to earn.
The soldier looks at him with admiration. Simo falls back into silence. The fire crackles and the war goes on. The Soviets began to fear an invisible enemy. Without knowing the farmer's name, rumors spread of a white ghost in the forest, capable of wiping out entire squads without ever being seen. And that was when his nickname was born, Bielaya Smerts, the White Death. Truth is, the nickname was used as propaganda, but it had its effect. Russian morale plummeted, and the Finnish, in contrast, soared with the tale of a humble man who became the executioner of invaders through sheer pure skill. The numbers climbed day after day. 22nd of December 1939, 138 kills. 26th of January of 1940, 199. 17th of February, 219, and the 7th of March, 259. In barely 100 days of combat, his official tally approached 500 confirmed kills. Other estimates, including submachine gun fire, put the count closer to 700. He never boasted of it. Others kept the numbers. He simply did his job, and the numbers kept growing. For an army relying on numerical superiority, the idea that one man could hold back entire columns was absolutely frustrating and maybe terrifying. In a Finnish camp, two soldiers talk as one reads a local newspaper.
Look at this! The Russians are already calling him the White Death. They've even put bounties on his head.
Bounties? They'd be better off surrendering. That way they'll have better chances of surviving. The 6th of March of 1940, after more than 3 months in hell, Häyhä finally met the fate that had seemed impossible. An explosive bullet from a Soviet sniper struck him in the head. He didn't wake up. His brothers in arms, seeing how the shot had shattered his jaw and cheekbone, disfiguring his face, placed him among the dead. Hours later, however, an officer noticed that one of the corpses was moving a finger. Simo was still alive, and he was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Miraculously, he survived. He remained in a coma for a week, awakening the 13th of March, the very day Finland and the Soviet Union signed peace, Finland had survived the invasion thanks to the effort of hundreds of thousands. To the dismay of his superiors, Simo Häyhä was still drawing a sergeant's salary. In the military hospital of Helsinki, a doctor takes care of Simo.
And where is my rifle?
We'll bring it to you soon, don't worry. I can't believe you're alive, dear Häyhä. You've lost half of your face, but you're still here.
It doesn't matter. I still have the other half. People can still tell I'm Finnish.
The doctor smiles and the silence fills the room once again. The surgeries were long and painful. Doctors rebuilt his face with bone and skin grafts, slowly restoring what had been lost. More than 20 surgeries in total. Though commanders considered sending him back to the front, Simo never returned to combat. He spent his later years in the quiet of rural life, hunting elks, raising dogs, and visiting old brothers in arms. No one could blame him. He refused to become a public figure. He never bragged about numbers, nor sought recognition, yet he was most certainly the greatest shooter in the entire history of firearms. When he was asked how did he achieve such precision and effectiveness, he answered with one single word: practice. Throughout his life, he received honors such as the Cross of Liberty and was promoted to second lieutenant. For him, he had simply done his duty, defending his homeland from invaders. But no one lives forever. Always fit and disciplined, Simo Häyhä passed away, not in the 1980s or 90s, but in the 21st century, the 1st of April of 2002, at the age of 96. In his final days, he received visits from officers, young soldiers, and journalists. His replies were always brief, clipped, like shots he needed to save. A decade after his death, the Swedish band Sabaton immortalized him in their song White Death, carrying his story to millions who had never heard of him or of Talvisotta, even releasing another song named after the war itself. Thus, the farmer from Raujärvi became also a musical legend. Simo Häyhä never wanted fame, yet he became a myth. He never sought applause, yet his silence became thunder. A short man who from the snow proved that patience and precision could halt a giant. The White Death was neither a ghost nor a superhero, and perhaps that was his greatness. He was a regular hard-working man, with a simple rifle in a forest like any other. He never sought fame, yet fame sought him. The irony. In the snowy Finnish woods, among the whispers of the wind, one lesson still echoes. Strength is not always in the numbers. Sometimes all it takes is one capable, patient man. And I know it's a bit of a meme to not invade Russia during winter. Well, be careful with Finland too. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video so you'll know when I publish some more. Leave a comment with your thoughts and I'll see you next time. It's been a pleasure, as always. Oh wait, I almost forgot to say, ciao!